In our previous video, we saw that habit can become second nature, and that this nature can even be inscribed in your biology. We blended ancient philosophy with modern physics to understand why your patterns are so powerful. We ended with a question. François Rabelais wrote, "Science without conscience is but the ruin of the soul." But what does this quote mean in the context of what we've just explored? How can knowledge without awakened consciousness become a trap? And what's the connection with Joe Dispenza? We promise to answer it today. That's exactly what we're about to do. For those of you just discovering this video, I encourage you to watch the previous ones, especially the one titled Habit is Second Nature, What Quantum Mechanics Reveals About Your Blocks, so we're all on the same page. Because yes, this is a sequence. Every video is a building block that sets up the next. If you enjoy this kind of content, hit that like button, subscribe to Mind and Science, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a release. We pour our hearts into bringing you deep, useful analysis. Now, let's get into it. Imagine a doctor who knows human anatomy perfectly. He can name every bone, every muscle, every nerve. He's read all the books. He's passed every exam. But he never lays a hand on a patient with gentleness. He never looks them in the eyes. He prescribes medication without listening to their suffering. This man has science, but he has no conscience. And Rabelais, in the 16th century, warned us, that kind of science is worthless. Worse, it destroys. If you stay until the end, you'll understand why knowledge alone changes nothing, and why consciousness is the key that turns information into wisdom. And you'll see how Joe Dispenza aligns with Rabelais on this essential point. François Rabelais, physician, monk, and humanist writer of the 16th century, wrote this famous line in Gargantua: "Science without conscience is but the ruin of the soul." He wasn't rejecting science. On the contrary, he was a man of knowledge. But he warned against empty understanding, disconnected from humanity, disconnected from the heart. Joe Dispenza, 5 centuries later, says something very similar. You can accumulate knowledge about personal development, read dozens of books, take courses, but if you don't feel what you're learning, if you don't embody it, your brain doesn't change. The knowledge stays abstract. It never becomes an experience. Dispenza distinguishes two things: intellectual knowledge, what you know; embodied knowledge, what you feel and live. And he claims that only embodied knowledge creates neurological change. Why? Because the brain cannot tell the difference between a strong thought paired with intense emotion and a real experience. He calls this mental rehearsal. Rabelais was saying, if you have science without conscience, you have the map without the territory. You know where to go, but you've never been there. Here's an example. You know meditation is good for you. You've read it in 10 books. You can talk about it for hours. But if you don't actually meditate, that knowledge is useless. Worse, it gives you the illusion of progress. That is the ruin of the soul, the illusion of knowing without living. And it's the trap that catches so many people who read personal development books without ever taking action. Dispenza tells the story of a woman he met at a seminar. This woman had read all his books. She knew the concepts by heart: neuroplasticity, identity, meditation. She could explain them better than some instructors. She was still anxious, still dissatisfied, still stuck. She was accumulating knowledge, but changing nothing in her life. She kept saying, "I know everything, but I can't do it." The turning point? Dispenza asked her one simple question. Do you feel what you know? Or are you just thinking about it? She realized she had turned knowledge into a new identity, the person who knows, instead of becoming the person who lives. The transformation? She stopped reading new books for 30 days. She chose one concept, gratitude, and practiced it every day, feeling it in her body, not thinking it, living it. After 30 days, Her anxiety had decreased. She finally understood the difference between knowing and embodying. When I read this story, I saw myself in it. For years, I accumulated personal development books. I could quote Joe Dispenza, James Clear, Napoleon Hill, Robin Sharma, all of them. But my life wasn't radically changing. I felt a deep frustration. Then I understood the trap. I was using knowledge as an alibi. I'm reading, so I'm progressing. But progress isn't measured in books read. It's measured in lives transformed. And the first life to transform is your own. I decided to go 1 month without reading a single new book. I took one concept, morning visualization, and practiced it every day. Not by thinking it, but by feeling it. That's when I understood what Rabelais meant. Science without conscience, knowledge without experience, truly is a ruin. It gives you the illusion of progress, without the progress itself.
So what does neuroscience say about this? 2 key studies confirm the intuition of both Rabelais and Dispenza. The mere exposure effect. Your brain loves familiarity. Reading a concept several times gives you the illusion of mastery, without the corresponding neural circuit actually changing. That's why you can read a book on assertiveness and still be timid. Emotional embodiment. Numerous neuroscience studies show that emotions play a critical role in memory consolidation and learning. Information paired with emotion is better remembered and integrated. This is the mechanism behind the feeling Dispenza talks about. Rabelais was right before science even existed. Knowledge alone is not enough. Consciousness, presence, embodiment, experience is what brings science to life.
One sentence to remember. Knowing without feeling is just noise. Embodying what you know, that is true wisdom. Here's your challenge for the next 7 days. Pick one concept you already know well. Gratitude, meditation, visualization, discipline. Just one. For 1 week, don't read anything new about it. Don't watch any videos, don't pick up any new books. Instead, practice that concept every day with your full attention and full feeling. Not 10 minutes, not 5. 2 minutes is enough. But feel every single second. At the end of the week, ask yourself, did I learn something that the books never taught me? If yes, you've started to embody.
If you love our content, drop your thoughts in the comments. We read absolutely everything, and we'd love to hear from you. Your feedback helps us create videos that are even more useful for you. Now that we've seen that knowledge without consciousness can become an illusion, the feeling of moving forward without actually changing, an even deeper question arises. Why do we seek other people's approval so much? Why can one criticism affect us for days, while a compliment sometimes only brings a few seconds of happiness? Joe Dispenza explains that when our identity depends on external validation, we become prisoners of our environment. We let circumstances define who we are, instead of creating our own inner state. Conversely, emotions like love, gratitude, and appreciation allow us, he says, to reclaim control over our identity and our energy. But why do these emotions have such power over our brain and behavior?